James Mennie, brought to you by Gilbert & Daughter. This week, save 50% on their already discounted prices. Gilbert & Daughter, open until Saturday at 49 Donegany in Point Clare.
You're listening to Montreal Now with Aaron Rand and Natasha Hall on CJAD 800.
That is James Mennie. He is over at the Montreal Gazette. And Jim, I see for today's section on Justin Trudeau, we're going to start with the letter P. Brought to you by the letter P. That is Poles, Plains, and Poilievre. But Jim, before we get there, I'd like to offer this up for the Prime Minister stranded in India.
London and I'm missing him, that baby of mine.
There you go. Only because I remember that song. It's the closest thing.
Where do you find these things?
Do I take that to mean you don't remember that?
Tracks or something? I mean, my God.
Do you not remember that?
The scary thing is I do.
Yeah, 1967. But it seemed I couldn't find one that said last plane from New Delhi, so I went with that instead. So, we were sitting and talking about this in the studio, and Natasha's, and I think a lot of Canadians would agree, it's gotten to the point where this is actually plain old embarrassing, isn't it?
Yeah. Yep. And the thing is, in politics, and I hate to put it this way, you're better off being reviled than being giggled at. And I think Trudeau's reached the point now, especially with this hellscape of a weekend that he had, to be perceived as being somewhat ridiculous. He got a grand total of 15 minutes with Indian Prime Minister Modi. It didn't go very well. He had a finger wagged at him because of the Sikh movement in Canada is critical of the Modi government. The watered down and quite frankly rather craven G20 statement on Russia's invasion on Ukraine was embarrassing, and he spent today, because let's face it, he's got nothing else to do till the military plane comes to get him. He gave a presser and basically said, no, if it was up to me and some other people, it would have been more powerful, but it's a very disparate group of people. And I understand that part, but this is the problem in this world, it's maybe not for better and maybe not for worse, but you've got to put yourself on the map. Like I say, you got to be about something. And he didn't cover himself in glory. And this is one of these things that, Trudeau's supposed to be really good at, right? International politics and carrying the flag and getting his photo taken. And the fact is he was completely overshadowed by Poilievre. For better or for worse, Poilievre's performance at the Conservative Convention in Quebec City. Yes, there was some very potentially controversial motions adopted. But from the get-go, say what you will about Pierre Poilievre, he knows how the game is played. He said, "I'm not going to be bound by these resolutions. I'm the leader of the party. The party can do what it wants, but in the end, and plus he knows as well, time is on his side. Trudeau certainly won't call an election before 2025 now. But between polls, and you guys were talking about this last Friday, the poll saying that basically, Poilievre is scoring twice as high as preferred prime minister than Trudeau." This everything seems to be sort of jumbled together at once, and yet I look at Trudeau, who seems to have really gone out of his way to sort of make him appear, like he's in charge, he's the boss, but that also places you in a very isolated position. You can have your cabinet retreats or whatever. Everyone knows that velvet glove contains an iron fist. So I don't know how much sympathy he's going to get apart from the usual, online trolls. The Liberals have them just as the Conservatives do. But man, oh man, what a terrible weekend! And I there's part of me that says, if it was a matter of being able to take his ego and stuff it into a rocket hangar or something, and say, listen, am I doing anybody a favor, even myself, by staying on? I wouldn't be surprised to see that surprise announcement, that will just catch us all off guard and say, I'm leaving politics effective immediately, blah, 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 blah.
Huh.
But I don't think he's going to do it.
I don't think so.
He's going to stay in. I think there's as we say in these parts, a tête de cochon in this guy, and he'll just stay there. He'll dig in his heels for spite, even though by every measure, he's not doing anybody a favor by staying in that office, especially himself.
And now he's going to be late for the Liberal caucus meeting in London, Ontario. So what kind of conversations do you think are happening while he's not there?
Well, do you think those conversations haven't been going on for months now?
Sure.
They have.
I mean, my goodness. I mean, we've had this conversation on different topics in the past. But listen, if you're a backbench MP from Ontario or the Atlantic provinces, or God help us out in the West Coast, you can read a poll as well as anybody else. And the fact is, yes, they've been a minority government. They've been keeping themselves afloat. How many terms of crisis management do you want to sit through? Before maybe someone turns it around and gets those numbers back up. Right now, Pierre Poilievre, I don't think it's going to last for that long, but Pierre Poilievre is in majority territory. He's in, that territory Harper enjoyed in 2011. And we saw a lot of changes in the landscape then, but then it all changed again in 2015 with a lot of breaks for Justin Trudeau. And you guys will remember there was an expression I used to use when describing Justin Trudeau, which was dumb, stupid, lucky. I think circumstances have made it necessary for me to retire that expression because it looks like it's going the other way. And honestly, there's a part of me, I don't want to, because the guy's been through some stuff, in his personal life as well. I really wonder if he's still going to be around at Christmas time.
Wow, that's not very far away. I mean,
well, I know, but listen, doesn't it seem to be accelerating all these?
It does.
These slaps in the face, these gaffes, these problems, and it's true. Behind all of that, it's a minority caucus, but it's a pretty fair-sized caucus, and I think a lot of people are there. Yes, even cabinet ministers, of course, they're going to be ostentatiously loyal in public. But you cannot look at this picture and say that there's not something wrong with it, not something very, very wrong with it. So, I mean, face it, there's been a Trudeau who came before who actually pulled the same thing when he realized, I've had it with this, and he pulled the plug. I'm not entirely sure if that's not going to happen, and it's not going to happen sooner rather than later.
James Mennie at the Montreal Gazette. I hope he makes his way home from India pretty soon. Jim, thank you. We'll talk again tomorrow.
Adam out.